Okay, I want to talk about what makes a cold call cold. And it's not the fact that they don't know who you are, it's the fact that they're not expecting your call. And the reason that some people resist making cold calls is because they're interrupting somebody who's not expecting their call. So to get around not interrupting people, what people think they're going to do to warm that call up is they're going to send an email and saying, I want to introduce myself and my company and my services, and I want to tell you about what we're doing to help people like you. And they think for some reason that warms up the call, but it doesn't warm up the call because that person still isn't expecting your call. And then you're still interrupting them, and they weren't expecting a call from a salesperson, so you've now cold called them. Regardless of how many emails you sent, if you send 11 or 12 or 25 emails, it doesn't matter. I will tell you, though, that if you want to warm up a cold call, the way that you do that is with a campaign. And the way that you should think about a campaign is that I have to be known, but even more than being known, I have to be known as a value creator. I have to be known as someone who has the ideas and the insights and the ability to make a difference for you. So here's what I would recommend. First, if you're going to make a cold call, make the cold call. Interrupt somebody, introduce yourself, ask them for time, expect a no, and then go read the Lost Art of Closing. There's chapter 6, which talks about trading value, and then find a way to offer more in value to the client than you're taking from them in time. So 20 minutes is a good ask because it's not a lot of time. You're giving me back 2/3 of my hour if it doesn't work out and you don't give me something interesting. And if you promise to give them something useful, even if there's not a next step for you, if you promise I'm going to give you some useful information, then you can be known as somebody who might know something that's valuable to me as your prospective client. Okay, so the chances are that first call that you make, no one's going to be there anyway. The client's not going to pick up the phone. You're going to go to voicemail. That happens more frequently than anything else when you make a dial. Okay, so now we live with that. But you're going to leave a voicemail, and the reason you're leaving a voicemail is so that you can become known, and so you can become known as a value creator. So you're going to leave a message saying, I have value to offer you. I think this is worth your time and attention. And you're going to give them something that interests them. They're going to say, actually, that sounds interesting. I wonder what that is. And then you're going to follow it up with an email saying, I'm sorry I missed you. I'm going to try you again at this time next week. In the meantime, I wanted to share this one idea with you. And you give them something. The next week, you do the same thing. And you think, well, doesn't that make me a pest? Doesn't it make me a nuisance? It only makes you a pest and a nuisance if you don't have any value to offer. If you have value to offer, then you can be persistent. But if you call and you're going to say something like, look, I'm just reaching out to touch base and check in, then people are going to go, oh, this person has no real value. I don't need to talk to them. You're going to do this a couple weeks in a row. The email doesn't warm it up, but then you can start sending nurturing emails, which do warm things up. So here's the difference. A nurture email means you go out, you find a blog post, you highlight the relevant points for your client, and you write a note on it saying, listen, Jim, these are the only 3 things that you need to look at. This is the money quote. This is why I think it's important right now. This is what I was hoping to talk to you about when we get a chance to meet. I'll try you again next week. You're pointing them at this. And so if you want to be a trusted advisor, you need 2 things. You know what they are. You need trust, you need advice. Okay, so when you say, I think this is worth your time, you should look at it, and then they look at it, all right, now they've already taken your advice. And if they look at that and say, actually, that's relevant to me, okay, now you're just now starting to shift the lens that they're looking at their world through out of the way and putting a new lens on. And now they're saying, this might be important enough for me to do something about, I don't know, but I might be interested in having a conversation. The way that you warm up a call isn't with an email, and it isn't with just pure persistence. It's having value to trade for the time that you're asking for, and value that's in excess of the time that you're asking for. This is your tryout. It's an audition. Your first meeting, they're looking at you and they're going to decide, do I need to have another meeting with this person, or can I live the rest of my life without ever talking to this person again? And if you come in full hot and you want to talk about you and your company and your services and your solutions and your logos and all the clients that you have and your board members, you're not going to get a second date. So the way that you warm up a cold call is with value and with insight and with professional persistent, which means if you're going to be professionally persistent, you got to have something to trade. That's why a cold call is still a cold call. And if you're going to warm it up, then do the work necessary to really warm it up and have the chops that make you a value creator. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit subscribe. go out to iTunes and search for In the Arena, subscribe to the podcast there, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.